Okay, year 11, it's time for some revision on your Germany paper, and we're going to be looking at tekkers at the moment, and we're going to be looking at our interpretations. So how does interpretation B differ from interpretation A? This is the first question that you're going to get in your Germany paper. You are given two interpretations, so two views of the past. They're generally given two different views, and what you've got to do is just essentially say what's different about them. Hopefully not too tricky, but it's surprisingly difficult. Remember, 5 minutes on this bad boy and you're just doing one paragraph. So let's take a look at what you do in terms of this question, and we're going to just do some practicing. So online there will be some PDF documents of this. So if you want to go along with this and actually label what I'm doing here, you can do so just by downloading and printing off the PDFs if you are able to. If not, grab yourself a bit of paper and you can watch this and jot some notes down. So remember, for the first question, we're not worried about this bit here. We're literally ditching that for the moment. You're not worried about the caption. That's what's a bit weird about it. It's tempting to go to the caption, and generally I always say go to the caption. But for the moment, we're not doing that. Not for question 1. So let's take a look at what interpretation A says. So I spent an hour with the principal, and she explained that every class in school was built around activities for women, right? And that's important. Incidentally, we better go to our question that we're looking at, which is this one, of course. We're thinking about how interpretation A and B, right, differ about the experiences of women, and that's important. That tail of the question is absolutely crucial with this, right? So we're thinking about this in terms of experiences for women. What were the experiences for women in Nazi Germany according to these interpretations? So every class was built around activities for women or of women. This general subject was divided into subjects such as domestic science, cooking, house and garden work, and the most important, the study of reproduction, eugenics and hygiene and infant care. She told me that the Führer of course means leader, that's Hitler, wanted the girls to feel that their bodies were more important. If a girl had a healthy body fit for childbirth, she could be proud to display it to advantage. And of course that advantage is all to do with childbirth. Right? So this is Zima's view. So what is Zima's view of women in Nazi Germany? Because that's what we're trying to get to grips with. And we're looking for what we call the essence of the interpretation. We're not looking to be jotting down loads and loads of stuff, quoting from the interpretation. We're not looking to copy. We're just looking to gauge a sense of what is it that this interpretation is actually saying, right? So this view is that, right, schools and education prepared girls for motherhood. That is essentially what this is all about, isn't it? All right. What does it say in the interpretation? Well, it talks about the subjects, mentions subjects studied to educate girls about being mothers. So that's essentially all I've done. And that process is important. I've just read it and really just summarised what's been said. I have not quoted it at all. I'm just thinking about what it said and just summarising it. Okay, so that's interpretation A. But of course, for this question, we are looking at two interpretations, A and B, about the experiences of women in Nazi Germany. So I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to look at B now. Again, not bothered about the caption, not worried about the what, when, who, why just at the moment. I'm just worried about this, okay? So this interpretation says, we were told from an early age to prepare for motherhood, as the mother in the eyes of our beloved leader and the Nazi government was the most important person in the nation. we were Germany's hope in the future, and it was our duty to breed and rear the new generation of sons and daughters. These lessons soon bore fruit, and many teenage members of the League of German Maidens had sons and daughters for the Reich. The girls felt they had done their duty and seemed remarkably unconcerned. So essentially, what is McKee's view? Well, young women, teenagers, right, had problems teenage pregnancies. I can't even spell. Okay, so that could be something that I talk about. I could say that it emphasizes the importance of motherhood. Yeah, so essentially what is really enlightening is this bit here. These lessons on motherhood soon bore fruit. Members of the League of German Maidens had sons and daughters for the Reich. So the League of German Maidens, we're only talking like teenagers, yeah? And the girls felt that they had done their duty and seemed remarkably unconcerned. Having children outside wedlock back then was a pretty remarkable thing to be doing, pretty unheard of. Well, not unheard of, but certainly quite rare. And it says that the children, or young women, were unconcerned because they were doing their duty for the Reich and Führer. Right, so essentially what we're saying is we've got this problem of teenage pregnancies and children were totally unconcerned. This is presenting a pretty negative view of the old life for women, or young women in particular, and this is presenting perhaps a more positive view. It's not really, I don't know, it's not really presenting much of a positive view, but I'm really latching onto this bit here. So girls were taught to have healthy bodies fit for childbirth, right? So it's really summarizing what's going on with the education system, the curriculum, and it's really then sort of talking about here, you know, that women were encouraged and really looked after, or encouraged to look after their bodies for the purposes of childbirth, right? So what I've done there is I've taken a look at what those interpretations have said, okay, and I've summarized them. So now what I want to do is I want to go back to my booklet here, and this is what we want to think about, because they are giving slightly different views. It's not the easiest to pick out, but I've done it for you. So this is really about tekkers. It's just getting you to think about this here. So bear in mind that we're looking at interpretation B and interpretation A. Now, you'd probably think it makes sense to be A and B, but that's not what the question asks. So the interpretations give different views about women in Nazi Germany, particularly young women, young children, young females, right? So interpretation B, so which one's that one? Remind me. So it's this one about here, okay? So suggests that women were prepared for motherhood in youth clubs, and this led to problems of teenage pregnancy. Can't even spell. All right, so I've really latched onto that. So that's giving a negative view, okay? It shows the challenges for young women under the Nazis. That's all I've done. Okay, so instantly, if I get a slightly different coloured pen, I haven't got a red pen at the moment. Usually I've got a million of them around me, but if I just get a pencil, so literally 2 marks, yeah? However, we're comparing the two. So that whereas there is absolutely crucial, because that there is showing it is showing where we are comparing the two things here, comparing the two interpretations. So whereas interpretation A, because I'm comparing A to B, emphasizes how the Nazis used the school curriculum to champion motherhood. There was no mention there of the problem of teenage pregnancy, but it does talk extensively about the school curriculum. Yeah? It says how girls were encouraged to look after their bodies and be healthy so that they can be mothers. All right, so there you go. That's another 2 marks. Bam, bam. That's what I've done. So this whole first bit up here is all about interpretation B. All of that is about interpretation B. So I've basically summed up what interpretation B is all about. And this bit here, like so, that is all about interpretation A. But that's essentially what I've done. Look, what I haven't done, I haven't got loads of quotes here. All I've done is summarized what each interpretation says and the messages that they present, and I've used that whereas to show that I'm comparing the two. So that is how you tackle the first question, that 4 marker, and that here would be 4 out of 4. Okay, don't get bogged down with quotes, just focus on what the messaging is, the essence of what they're saying, and comparing the two. Usually 9 times out of 10 they're giving 2 different views, and that's all you need to do for that one. So it's really a game of focusing on what it says and telling me how they are different.